So by doing all this, he's made things worse for himself. But the case in New York is the weakest. It basically charges him in a state court with committing a federal crime that the feds decided not to prosecute him for. So this is a novel charge against him. If his name were Donald Jones instead of Donald Trump, I don't think this case would be being brought against him. But by threatening the prosecutors, taunting the alligator before you cross the stream, so to speak, they're going to indict him. And it's going to consume a lot of his money and a lot of his time. Look, most of the criminal laws in this country criminalize harmless behavior, most of them. And they should not be on the books, but they're on the books. People get prosecuted. There are many people in jail right now because they used corporate funds to pay a campaign debt. Who gives a damn? But that's what the law is. You know who wrote that law? A person who never met a bullet or blood he didn't like, John McCain.
Oh.
John McCain wrote that law, and the courts have upheld it.
Yep. Never met a bullet. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. What an arrogant.
Well, he's dead. He can't defend himself. But I had to throw that in there because these things are ultimately all connected. The Democrats and the Republicans, in my view, in Congress, they all want their version of government. None of them wants lesser government. Their battles are about how to control the government, not how to reduce or shrink the government. Well, there are Rand Pauls and Thomas Massey's, but it's just a handful compared to members of Congress. Last week, Rand Paul introduced a simple resolution to rescind the authorization to use military force of 2001. That's the law that let Bush invade Afghanistan. Afghanistan, are we still there? No. We left unceremoniously. It was a disaster the way we left. We left in 6 days. When the Russians left Afghanistan, it took them 8 months. They left methodically. They didn't leave any equipment behind. They didn't leave any of their people behind. They didn't leave any money behind. When we left, it was a disaster, and it cost us billions. Back to Rand Paul. Let's get rid of the authority to invade Afghanistan. It was 20 years ago. Do you know what happened to that resolution? It lost in the Senate. 9 in favor, 86 against it. 86 senators in favor of allowing the president to use this law to invade whatever country he wants. Syria, Yemen, Somalia, send the troops wherever you want. So the Republicans are just as culpable as the Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
There are some heroes, but they're always outnumbered.
And this is why I say over and over again, we need a new third party, and Judge Andrew Napolitano should be the president of the United States. And that we're not going to go anywhere without a new third party. And that we have this criminal group running our lives. I mean, how could anybody with a brain bigger than a pea swallow the crap coming out of a little Chucky Schumer's mouth and a Lindsey Graham, a Mitch McConnell, and Adam Schiff? One little crap after another telling us what to do, little lowlives. And again, we wrote about this, by the way, what you just talked about in the Trends Journal this week in great detail. And as you said, America can go anywhere it wants. And now we're bringing more troops and fighting more in Syria. What right does America have to be in Syria? Well, we're fighting them Iranians and those militants. Wait a minute. Right. The Iranians were invited into Syria by the president of Syria, where they're stealing their oil on the eastern coast and trying to overthrow the government. Brought to you by the Nobel Peace of Crap Prize winner, Barack Obama. We want that guy Assad out of there. And there's no blowback at all. And the American media totally bans those of us who speak out against America's illegal invasion of other nations.
I just watched a clip from 60 Minutes, which could have been produced by the CIA. It is a puff piece about how well prepared the American Navy is to defend, you ready? Taiwan. This would be Joe's other war. Now, we haven't fought a major military since World War II. Suffice it to say, there's nobody in the Pentagon or in the military today who is fighting in World War II. We lost in Vietnam. We lost in Iraq. We lost in Afghanistan. Every one of these pipsqueaks that we fight clobbers us. Now we're going to fight the largest army and the largest navy in the world. And CBS is doing the CIA's bidding by trying to persuade the American public that somehow we can do it. And you'll pull your hair out over this. The admiral in charge, he's a nice Italian-American boy who totally bought the CIA line. I forget his name.
Yeah.
I just watched this thing right before you and I started this session because of what I have to do later today with Colonel McGregor. And it just turned my stomach. I said, it should say brought to you by the CIA. It shouldn't say brought to you by CBS.
Again, like you said, we haven't won a war since World War II. And little minor countries beat Americans. And as we have, I mentioned in the podcast yesterday, 77% of young Americans are in too bad shape to join the military. They're overweight.
You're right.
So they're too fat to fight, basically.
I'm sorry to say that you are right. And it doesn't take a physician to know that. Just go to the shopping malls and look around you, or go to any downtown area and look around you.
You know, you mentioned you're going to be interviewing Douglas McGregor, the colonel. What are you going to be talking about today?
Are the Ukrainians able to resist the Russians? And he'll say no. He sent me a map, and the map actually shows where the Russian troops are and what their numbers are, and where the Ukrainian troops are and what their numbers are. And simple math will show you it's impossible for Ukrainians to win. The other thing I'm going to talk to him about is the same thing I'm talking to the great Larry Johnson about, which is why no negotiation. Well, Tony Blinken is afraid of negotiation because he believes that it will result in freezing things where they are now. And he and Victoria Nuland want the Russians out of Crimea. This is crazy that they think that they can accomplish this militarily. What they really want is Putin out of office. Also crazy if they think they can accomplish it militarily. So McGregor often brings some news to the podcast. I don't know if he's going to bring news today, but his analysis has proven to be extremely spot on and very popular with Judging Freedom viewers. Thank you for asking me about it. He's on live at 2:45 Eastern today.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So everybody, please go to Judging Freedom. Was it judgingfreedom.com?
Judging Freedom YouTube channel, and you'll see Doug McGregor there this afternoon at 2:45.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. He really, yeah. And by the way, the news coming out today is that Zelensky says they're going to defend that area and they won't retreat.
Wow. Well, then he's going to destroy his army, the front lines of which are manned by 16-year-olds.
How sad.
16-year-olds.
How sad.
And all because of Joe Biden giving him the military support. A generation of Ukrainian boys will never know they'll die. A generation will die, just like happened in America. Generation of American boys, thanks to LBJ, 50,000 of them.
58.
Number is staggering. Died.
58,000, and over almost 500,000 seriously wounded.
Wow.
Yeah.
For nothing. For LBJ's re-election bid, which, as we all know, he was scared out of doing it, and Nixon got in there, and it got even worse.
This is how they sell propaganda. Look at this old cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, look.
Yeah. Yes.
And then America at war? What are we going to war for? Operation Desert Storm. Oh, yeah, we care about that. And this is And this is how the headline, this is from the Time magazine. Bush's biggest gamble. The president bets his place in history. And for the moment, at least, he looks like a winner. How's that for propaganda, huh?
Yeah.
His place in history. May he rot in hell, the murderous bastard.
He really will go down as one of the worst presidents in American history.
Well,
and, you know, he's a war criminal. He's been indicted.
You just forgot about Clinton? How about little Bush Jr.? Hey, how about Barack Obama, the Nobel Peace of Crap Prize winner?
George W. has been indicted by a Spanish court for war crimes. It's one of those courts with EU-wide jurisdiction, so he can't. I don't know if he has any interest in going to a museum in Florence or in London. Probably not, but if he did, he's not going to come back.
Yeah. Anyway, they're terrible. Judge, thanks so much for being on. And everybody, don't forget, check in the judge's interview with Colonel Douglas McGregor. That guy's a real man, boy. He's been there. He knows the deal, and he knows the scoop. Judge, thanks for all you're doing, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Dylan, for putting up my how to find me. Thank you, Gerald. All the best.
All right.